if you're looking for some ways to save money in the kitchen and on your grocery bill, I have you covered. I'm Julia. Erin is behind the camera, and we are the Canny Couple. And this is the start of a new series I'm putting out, which is called Meals for Deals. I know a lot of people are struggling, not really sure how to grocery shop. I'm going to show you all how to grocery shop, how to get good deals, and then how to cook your meals from those deals. So before we get started, we would really appreciate it if you would hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. And right here I have what I got at the grocery store, minus the milk. I have 2 gallons of milk that are in my refrigerator. I didn't want to pull that out. We get that for the little one and for our coffee creamer. So that's included in our budget. I got all of this for $55. Oh, sorry, let me pull it over. All of this for $55, including the milk, which I felt really good about. It's actually 54, 53, 54.
It was $54 and so many cents. Basically 55. Just go ahead and assume 55.
So what our meal plan for this week is, for breakfast, we are actually eating from the pantry. I'm up at a little bit of cooking fatigue, so I'm making breakfast super easy. We're going to eat out of our pantry. We have some ready-made things to go ahead and eat from there. For lunch, I'm making some homemade bread. We're going to have sandwiches. Aaron's going to have bologna because he is not super fond of peanut butter and jelly like the little one and I are. We have peanut butter well stocked in our pantry. Here's the flour. You can actually cut back your cost if you're using a different flour. We're trying to make the shift to single ingredients, which is a bit more expensive, especially in our area. I have some hamburger here. You're going to notice that it's open. That's because I've already made hamburgers. Now, this is not part of my meal prep this week. This is actually part of future save myself having to worry about meals, and we're going to work on that this weekend. We are going to have pork loin for dinner this week. We're going to make it 3 ways. We're doing barbecue, Cajun, and Mexican. I'm also going to make a few homemade tortillas. I've never done it before. We're going to give it a shot. I have potatoes and carrots. These are sides. I have some black beans. We're going to make refried black beans to go with our pork tacos. I have rice. I also got some cheese here, and that is for our stockpile.
You want to show the rice there so we can see what size of the bag it is.
It's a little one, 89 cents. Works really well. So this, I feel like we did really good, all things considered. We got a lot of meat. The pork loin was $1.79 per pound, which is about as cheap as I can get pork right now. Sometimes you can get 99 cents, but those tend to be really fatty. Aaron's not going to eat that. The hamburger was $2.99 per pound. I ended up getting just under 3 pounds of that. So let me get everything prepped and ready to go, and I'm going to show you all how we put this together. So I have my pork prepped. You can see I have cut this down into kind of thick pork chops. My goal is most of this is going to be shredded. I can't give Aaron a big slab of meat like this and him enjoy it, so I need to shred it. And I am not an aluminum foil family. We're not, but necessity. I only have one pot or one pan with a lid, and I want these to cook and get really tender. My goal is to actually overcook this pork so it's really fall apart tender. So here's what we're going to do. I kind of made 3 boats here, put each in one so they each have their own little place. And I'm doing a jerk chicken and this was in my pantry. It's one I've been meaning to do, not chicken, a jerk pork. I'm sorry. A jerk pork.
Well, that's what you usually do.
I usually would do jerk chicken. I just think this would be really good, and it would be really good with, I'm going to do this with the carrots as well. Oh, it smells nice. Oh, it smells really nice. So I'm going to put enough of this in one of my little boats here, and I'm just going to give it a good coating and just kind of let it cook in that juice. And it's going to taste so wonderful and nice. Now, a lot of people are like, but Julia, this wasn't in your $55. No, it wasn't. And the reason why is because I have built a working pantry. And I really want to show you the importance of building a working pantry and continuously building that pantry while you're also cooking meals for your family. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to salt my middle and my end. I didn't salt this one because it's more of a liquid. And let's go ahead and do the barbecue. So I have some barbecue seasoning. We have lots of barbecue seasonings. Tons. Aaron loves barbecue. And this is a cowboy rub. And I'm just going to generously pour it in here because, again, it's going to cook. It's going to cook in its own juices. It's going to turn into this wonderful pork. It's just going to taste amazing. And now we're going to do the taco. The taco, I do need a bowl. And I'm going to make a sort of liquid, sort of not. So we're going to take some chili seasoning. And I'm going to use probably a tablespoon here. I'm just going to pour it in my bowl. That's probably 2 tablespoons. Again, we are over seasoners in our home. I don't under season my food. I over season my food. I'm going to use some taco seasoning because we've already got it made. It's ready to go. I'm going to use some garlic powder. And I'm not going to use near as much of it, just a touch. So I'd say probably like a teaspoon. And I already salted, so I don't need to add some salt. And then I'm going to add some apple cider vinegar because it's going to help give it some acidity. It's going to be really nice. We've done this with pork before, and it's always really good. I'm going to take a spoon. We're going to mix it together. And then I'm just going to pour that over the pork. And if it's not fully incorporated, I'm totally okay with that because it's just going to cook and mix with those juices. You can tell it's kind of a thick paste here. You can add oil in as well. I try to limit the amount of oil that I actually put in my food just for the sake, because oil is expensive. It's so expensive. So I do try to limit how much oil I actually use. And Aaron doesn't like fat. He doesn't like greasy food. So it's just one of those things that I just tend to keep out of my food. And I'm just going to kind of get it in between my pork. And I'll show you all what this looks like here in just a second. Get the rest of this. It smells really good. And here we go. It looks good, ready to go. And now I'm just going to kind of turn these up on the side a bit so I can get my lid on. And everything's just going to cook. And I'm going to cook it on 350, 400 degrees because I will have to turn my oven up for my bread. I'll show you all how I put that together. But it's just going to cook until it's time for dinner. I'm just going to let this slowly cook throughout the day. It'll cook and it'll be super tender and super good. And I'll show you all what it looks like when it's done. So now I need to get back to the rest of my prep work and I will see you in just a second. Okay, so I've got a lot of prep work done here and let's get everything started. So here in my Instant Pot, I have the whole thing of rice. I just put that whole thing in there. Isabel will eat it. She loves rice. Rice is like one of the meals I never have to worry about. What I'm using is I'm using this tomato chicken bouillon in it because it's going with that Mexican pork. So it'll be really nice with that. And I'm just going to put 3 heaping spoonfuls in there because it just makes it taste so good. It does something to that rice that changes the flavor completely. We'll set that to the side. And I'm going to get this started and going so it's done. And how many of you all like Instant Pot rice? I have to say, I use my Instant Pot for everything anymore, especially my rice. Just so easy. Plug it up, turn it on, and you're done. The next thing I need to do is I need to get my bread started. So I have in my KitchenAid bowl here 2 cups of warm water. And I'm going to add a tablespoon and a half of yeast. So actually, it's a teaspoon. Let me get my half tablespoon here. And I need to add 1/4 of a cup of some sort of sugar. Honey, sugar, whatever the case may be. And before you all rail at me, I'm new to this bread baking thing from scratch. I've not done a lot of it and I'm still learning, so be gentle. But it's been good. It's been very good, hasn't it?
Yes, yeah. I never complain about homemade bread.
What if it tastes bad?
Well, it'd have to be awful bad.
I've had some loaves that have been awful bad before.
No.
Yes, I have. From the bread machine,
No.
they've been so bad. Yeah, there have. He's being nice. I'm just gonna get this added, and I'm gonna give it a quick stir, and then I'm gonna set it aside to let it start getting bubbly. It takes about 10 minutes, which gives me time to do all this other stuff that needs to be done. I'm gonna reuse this for my oil that's going to go in my bread. And I have my recipe to the side, so I don't forget. This is still a new recipe for me, so it's not one that I use like in my bread machine or like in my set recipes yet. So I'm gonna set this to the side. Now, potatoes. So how I'm doing my potatoes. I like the cheat. And what I'm gonna do is I'm doing like an oven roasted potato to go with the Cajun. And we're gonna salt everything. But then we're doing a kind of like a baked potato. The only problem is I had to peel them because they weren't like organic. I don't trust the skins on those potatoes, so
Right.
I needed to peel them, which is fine. It doesn't hurt the potato to go ahead and peel it before you bake it. But I bake them all in one dish because then it kind of saves some time and effort. And this is the As Your Standard Montreal steak seasoning. I will tell you, use it lightly, use it sparingly.
It's very salty.
It is very strong. we like it, but it's not like other Montreal steak seasonings. It's you don't need very much of it, not at all. So just fair warning. That's done. We'll get that in the oven here in just a second. Then we have our carrots. Doing carrots two ways. If I have carrots homemade, I have to put them in honey. Aaron will have a conniption if he doesn't get his honey carrots. So I'm putting probably a cup of honey in there. And then I'm taking the Cajun seasoning and I'm going to pour some on a smaller batch to have with the Cajun pork. So we'll have Cajun carrots and honeyed carrots, depending on the meal that we're having. Now, let's start on our meatloaf. So, I'm not a huge meatloaf fan, and meatloaf isn't actually my meal plan this week. Meatloaf is a save me later in the week, in the month, whenever I'm really busy on a Saturday and I don't feel like cooking or I don't have the time to cook. Now, but it was included in our grocery budget this month because this is how Meals for Deals works. Meals for Deals is supposed to take advantage of those sales. Bought the pork. It's going to stretch it to 6 meals for us. That's 3 people. Isabel's half, so you can cut hers in half. But the Meals for Deals, you're shopping those sales. You're shopping and you're maximizing how much you save, and you're also building your pantry while you're doing it. You have anything else to add to that?
Yeah, well, I mean, in the ads, you're looking for those sales. You're not going to, go and buy a pork loin that's going to be $4.99 this week.
No, you're only getting it on sale. So the reason we got the pork loin, it was $1.79. So it made it $12, just under $12 to get the pork loin. The only reason we got the hamburgers, it was $2.99 a pound. We would not get hamburger at $4 per pound. So before I get too far into this conversation, this is just the hamburger. It is egg and breadcrumbs. And I'm going to add some barbecue sauce that Aaron made to it. But the goal here is to maximize your savings, especially building your your meal plan off of the deals from the groceries. So you're maximizing your budget. This is the only way we can have such a low grocery budget. If I were to spend $4 or $5 per pound on meat, my grocery budget would have to be doubled or tripled.
Yeah.
You have anything else to add?
No, but I mean, we're trying to, maximize everything we can from a deal perspective because, you know, basically anymore, it's the only way to get stuff cheap.
Well, not even cheap.
Well,
it's the
cheaper.
It's the only way to cut costs because you can't. I don't know how people afford it. I couldn't imagine if I wouldn't have bought this stuff on sale. And some of it wasn't on sale. If I wouldn't have bought this stuff on sale, I would imagine we would have spent $100, if not more.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna pour about half a cup of this in here. This is a homemade vinegar sauce that Erin makes. I'm not a traditional meatloaf person. I will eat it, but it's not my favorite. So I thought this barbecue sauce one would be a much better option for me. And Erin's cool with trying it. Anything with barbecue sauce.
Yep.
So back to this series and why we feel it's so important. I know a lot of people struggle with like, what am I supposed to do with the sale stuff? How am I supposed to make a meal from this huge pork loin? And I don't want to eat the same thing every single day. And we completely get that and understand. We're different. We can eat the same meal during the week, but a lot of people can't. And a lot of you have said that to us. So we are actually doing multiple dinners, as you saw when we prepped that pork. I'm going to add a little bit more barbecue here because I think it's a little dry. I don't want it to get too wet, so I'm adding this very slowly because I don't want it to be too moist. And this barbecue sauce is still kind of hot. Erin just made it, and I don't want it to cook my meat before I get it in the oven. But I have always shopped the sales. I've never been one who does it. And you're going to notice that I'm pulling some things out of my pantry. And that's because I've gotten those on sales. And I've built my pantry off of those sales. But if I don't use this entire bag of flour, and we do another Meals for Deal, which we will, and I have a bag of flour, well, that new bag of flour goes into my working pantry, and I will use this bag of flour that's already open and ready to go. So that way I'm constantly rotating and using things into my pantry, but I'm also building up my pantry. I guess that's the best way to explain it. Okay, I feel like that's good. That looks really good. It's good and mixed. So, question. Does it bother anybody else to use wooden spoons with meat? Like hamburger? I just can't. It bothers me. I feel like I'll never get all the stuff out of it. And you're noticing I'm putting everything in the oven. It's because my oven's on. I'm going to maximize my oven use today since I have it on. Now, I'm hoping I can get 3 meals from here. I know I can get 2. But if I can get 3 meals from this, I feel like that would be amazing. This would be 3 Saturdays or Sunday lunches. I can do some freezer potatoes with this. How do you feel about this meal, Erin?
Have to see what it tastes like. I love a regular meatloaf, and we've done smoked meatloaf before, so I mean I liked it. So I mean this is probably closer to that. It's just we're doing it in the.
He does like I just don't like it. I can eat it one.
I grew up on a lot of meatloaf, so a lot of cold meatloaf sandwiches.
I did too, but it's just not my favorite.
She doesn't like because it had onions and everything else in it.
Okay. Now we are going to do. I gotta get a cup. I need to get a cup. Give me just a second. Okay. So I got my water added, and what we're making here are the tortillas. Now this is new for me. I've never made a homemade tortilla. So I have 2 cups of flour, 3/4 a cup of water, and a half a teaspoon of salt. So the next thing I need to add is oil. I need 3 tablespoons of oil. This is supposed to make 8 tortillas. I'm hoping tortillas are something that I can make in bulk later and have in the freezer. And I'm hoping I can use these also as a snack replacement for Erin. He likes the Takis, especially like the chili lime seasoning. Anything chili lime is one of his favorites, and I'm hoping that I can cut those processed and make some homemade to have them in the freezer to make anytime he wants them. And I'm just going to mix my dough and kind of get it together. I'm using a fork. I like a fork, especially for dough mixing. And I would have used my KitchenAid mixer, but it's going to be used for my bread. Normally I would make one, then make the other. But right now I'm making them both at the same time for you. So you all tell me, what's your all's favorite homemade tortilla recipe? I would love to know if you all have a really good one that you like. Let me know in the comments below. Send that to me. I'll give it a shot. I tend to spend one day baking and trying your recipes. And do you all want to see that? Or if I like bulk cook a day, is that something you all are interested in? Seeing, you know, if I bulk cook for the freezer, like bagels or bread. I'm making a loaf of bread today, or well, 2 loaves of bread. But my goal is to eventually have like one day a week where I bulk cook 1 or 2 items, and then I'm continuously refreshing my my freezer. So I'm just kind of kneading this together till it's a nice smooth dough, getting it all fully incorporated. This is why I like the KitchenAid. It does all the work for me. Aaron's like, we've had this KitchenAid.
Yeah, she just finally started using it, I guess, a couple of years, right?
Well, it was up because of the kitchen.
Right. It was, yeah.
We got it on sale because
True.
If you want a KitchenAid, and you have to buy that cost, getting it at Kohl's around Christmas is the only time to get it.
Yeah. Because it save you about $100 or so.
And you get the Kohl's cash back.
Right.
So to me, it makes the most amount of sense to get it then. That's when we got it, but then we knew we had the house remodel, so I didn't want to open it up. And I need to lay this on my countertop here. My counter is clean because I need to do some kneading. I would have had out my mat, would have made more sense. I'll get it out for the bread. We're just going to knead it until we get it to where we want it to be. Then we're going to let it rest. And then it doesn't need much resting time because it's just a tortilla dough. It's not a yeasty dough. And you hear my little one talking. She's letting us know she's there. She's jabbering away. We just don't know what she's saying yet. She's talking to you all. Okay, I feel like that's good. Let that rest for a few minutes. And let me get my hands washed and I'll show you all the bread. And we'll be close to being done for the prep work. Okay, cleaned everything up a little bit more. Now here is my foam. You can see my yeast is kind of foamy here. Aaron's going to move the camera on the stand so you can get a better look at it here. So we're kind of foamy. Now it's time to start the next part of the process. So into this, I'm going to add 1/4 of a cup of oil. Any type of oil. I'm using a light olive oil.
That one actually.
It's a mix.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a mix. Even though it says it on it,
we didn't know it.
We thought we were getting an amazing deal until we looked at that one better.
We did not. So we've learned our lesson.
Yes.
Oh, she okay?
Yep. Okay.
So we have our olive oil in here, and then here in my bowl I have my flour. I have 5½ cups of flour. I have 1½ teaspoons of salt, and I'm going to add about 2 cups into this, and I'm going to give it a quick stir before I put it on the mixer and add some more into it. And I just find this works a little bit better for me. It's not as messy. I'm just going to give it a really quick mix here. You can see I'm just starting to get it kind of incorporated. Scrape the sides of your bowl. work in there. Then, now I will tell you, I feel like I get it stuck sometimes. Like I had to have the mallet to help me get it undone the other day.
Do what?
I could not get it moved. I could not get it moved. I had to take the mallet to hit it because it was on there so hard. I was so frustrated. And I'm going to put it on 2. And then we're just going to let it do the mixing and kneading for me. This worked really well for my bagels. Those bagels, it kneaded it perfectly. Now I will let this knead for about 3 to 5 minutes once I get it fully incorporated. If it doesn't work for me today, what I'll do is I'll pull it out and knead it. But it does need to rest for at least an hour. Then I'll punch it down and put it into loaves. And we'll show you what that looks like when we get to that point. And then it has to rest for another 30 to 45 minutes. And then we will bake it. It makes 2 loaves of bread. One of these will go in the freezer because we don't eat that much bread before it goes bad. But my little one, I couldn't get her to eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich to save my life.
No.
But she will eat this homemade bread all day, every day. Yeah, it does that, babe. Okay. It's going to do that. Okay. He's not seen this.
I haven't seen her use this yet.
It's a little messy. They have the guard on it, but I'm not at the point where I'm really up for that yet. You see it's starting to form really well. I'm going to take my fork. I'll use a fork, normally a spatula, something of that nature, to kind of scrape the sides and help get it incorporated. The last time I did this, I used white lily flour. It turned out really, really well. This is the first time I'm using the King Arthur.
Right,
so
because we'll see how we're trying to
get one ingredient.
Yes.
One ingredient. So my grocery bill is actually going to be higher than some others. If you're okay with using the white lily flour, you go for it. We've just decided for our family, it's a change we need to make. And no, we're totally cool with whatever anybody else wants to do. And I understand it is expensive. I paid $6.50 for that flour. It hurt. It hurt a lot. Oh, while I have you, I've also got my black beans on here. Here, I'll pull them over. I've got about 2 tablespoons of taco seasoning in there. We're just going to let those cook down and then take them with the immersion blender. I keep forgetting to mention them because everything went in the oven. I like to do as little hands-on when I'm in the kitchen as possible. If I can throw everything in the oven and let it cook, that's what I'm going to do. And we're going to get the last little bit of this 5.5 cups of flour in here. And then we're just going to turn it up and let it do its thing. And then we're going to let it rise in a oiled bowl cover for an hour. And then I'll show you what it looks like when we punch it down and roll it into loaves before we stick it in the oven. So here's my tortillas, pretty and rolled out. It actually wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I don't have a tortilla press. And what I have here is I have my my enameled skillet, and I've got a little bit of oil in it. The instructions I read, one of them said that you can use oil, others said you don't have to. But with this enamel, I feel like I don't have a choice because it can be sticky. So I just stuck one of them down. What?
I was going to say, move the wooden spoon a little.
I just stuck one of them down. We're just waiting till they kind of get a little bubbly. And then I'll flip them and take them off. I already see it bubbling. If this works, Aaron's excited.
I am. I'm very interested in this.
He's very interested. Can you see everything?
I can. Let me shine it over here, though.
We're going to give it just a few more seconds. It's puffing. So this was a super easy recipe. And they're not the prettiest. They're not perfect circles or anything like that. And I'm okay with that. Still need a few more seconds. It's not brown yet. It said a minute on each side, so that's not very long. What I'm most excited about is making like sweet potato flatbread this way, because like pita pockets and things like that, because we love sweet potatoes, and I think that would be just wonderful to have that on hand anytime we want them. It's looking really pretty. Still don't think, I might not have it on high enough. I had to turn it down. Aaron was messing with the camera, so I was a little bit worried. So it's taking a little bit longer than I expected it to. It's a medium-high heat. And again, I was just using a very basic, very simple recipe. It doesn't make too many. But my goal is, if this works for us, we're going to have like one whole day of doing nothing but making tortillas. And one of the things I asked for my anniversary was like a griddle that'll go on both eyes, so I can make pancakes and tortillas and things like that a lot easier for me. So instead of me doing one at a time or a few at a time, I can make a whole bunch, make some for the freezer.
And I will say, we are more of a flour tortilla family.
I don't like the corn ones.
Than the corn tortillas.
We just don't like the corn, and we don't like the hard ones either.
Well,
sometimes the crunch.
Sometimes, but we'd rather have a flour tortilla more than anything.
But what I can do with these, I can make chips, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make, like, I'm hoping this works out well. I'm going to do strips for Aaron. I could put them in his, in the freezer in whatever seasoning. I've got smoke coming out from the oven. Okay, there we go. See the little bit of brown there? It's pretty. It's very pretty. Look at my clock to see when it's a minute. The stove goes from like cold to hot in 90 seconds, which is one of those things you get with an electric stove. It's kind of hard to regulate the heat at times. I'm very happy with how these turn out. Let me get a plate so I have something to set these on. And I'm obsessed with making sure I don't stick anything hot on my countertops. Like, obsessive compulsive about it. I'm terrified I'm going to crack them. But I love them. They're so nice. Oh, this is beautiful. There's tortilla number 1. Get the next one out. So, Aaron, what are you most excited about homemade tortillas?
Just ability to fix up a tortilla, you know, if we want a quick snack or have some available on hand for things like that, because we use a lot of tortillas for snacks.
We do, and for quick lunches. I like to take these and make like a quick, like a quesadilla.
Yes.
We love quesadillas for lunches. Isabel likes them. So, because I always have cheese and things like that. A lot
of times we just do sandwich meat inside with cream cheese and hot sauce.
Which will be really good with my mock homemade cream cheese, won't it? Mm-hmm. It will, but without the sugar.
I was going to say, have to back off a little bit in the sugar on that.
Well, I probably won't put much sugar in it at all at that point. So, that's a huge cost for us, is cream cheese. It really, it's so expensive. It's at least $1 for 8 ounces. And I saw a recipe for a mock one, and it was basically the same recipe I used to make homemade ricotta cheese. You just cream it. So I told Aaron, so let's give it a shot, and we really liked it.
Yeah.
We really liked it. The bagels were a little too wheaty for me because I had to use more wheat flour than I anticipated. I was out of flour. It's a pantry challenge. But the bagels turned out really good. It's one of the things we still have to eat up. Like, I still have some breakfast to eat up. And I put some in the freezer to test how they are coming in and out of the freezer. Another question for our viewers out there. How many of you all use the beeswax wraps? I'm thinking of making some because I have some homemade beeswax. Look how pretty that one turned out. I have some homemade beeswax, so I can get those pretty easy. I just laid the fabric, 100% cotton. But I wondered, is it worth me going through the trouble of making them? do they really work well in the freezer? Because I'm thinking more for my breads, my bagels, things like that, that I can have those wrapped in something that's not like parchment paper or wax paper, and it would be reusable. Trying to get away from having to spend a lot of effort and time and money. So we're going to keep going through these. I'm going to get all 8 of these cooked up for us to have. I'm probably going to put some in the freezer to see how they de-thaw later in the week. And we'll be back at you and we'll see what it tastes like. It's been an hour. It's really warm in my kitchen, so my bread dough has doubled in size now. So I'm just going to punch it down. It deflates. And we're just going to drop it here. You can already tell it's warm on the bottom where it's been on my stove. And all I'm going to do is take my divider and I'm going to divide it into, well, almost 2 even ones, because I have to use 2 different size pans because I only have 1 glass bread pan right now. I have to get another one. It just makes it a little harder, and this one will cook a little slower than this one does. So I'm just going to roll it into a pretty loaf and set it into a greased pan. I'm going to take my other one and I'm going to do it in a circle loaf. I'm not artisan by any means. I don't really care about that. We just want it to taste good.
Yeah.
That's all we care about. And I actually think I need to pull a little bit more into that other dough. That's all we really care about. It's making sure it tastes good. And then I'll put it in the round one. It actually baked up really well in the round one last time. I was pleasantly surprised at how good it did there. Weren't you?
Yes.
Just shove that in there. It'll be okay. They make bread baking way too hard. So my hands are a little greasy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get my hands clean. I'm going to clean up my mess. If you do not have one of these and you bake, it is worth like the $12 to $15 investment. I have an old one that is like one of those hard plasticky ones.
Probably a Tupperware one.
It's either Tupperware or Pyrex. It's old.
Yeah.
It is old. And my mama had one too. And I used to use it, but it doesn't stick because it's not made to like stick to your countertop and then roll up. This will roll up and stick to your countertop. It's amazing. I love this thing. So it's worth the investment because it just lays so flat and it does such a good job of keeping everything contained. I got this to make pie dough because I would have to put something on this corner, things to keep it flat. It would not stay flat. So if you don't have one of these, trust me, go with this. Now I still have my old one. I still have it. It's still in my baking drawer if I ever need it. If something ever happens to this. But we're just going to let these rise for 30 to 40 minutes. And then we'll put them in the oven, 350 for 30 to 40 minutes till they're done. Till they're nice and golden brown. Yep, and then we'll come back and we'll show you what everything looks like when it's done.
Okay, we got everything here, but you want to show them the bread first?
Didn't it turn out pretty? You could put some like butter on top. I find that's not really necessary. That's the meatloaf.
Okay, that's the meatloaf. That's the barbecue meatloaf. Oh, that's so good. I want to cut it like a piece of bread right now and have a sandwich. Okay, what we got here next?
Okay, so this is the barbecue. That is the Cajun. Okay. And you'll be able to tell the difference between the carrots and the potatoes.
That's good.
It needs more sauce for you.
Needs more sauce. But good.
I didn't want to drown the plate.
And that's the jerk?
Yep, the jerk, sorry.
That's a different taste.
But it's good, right?
So it goes sweet, like fruity sweet. Mm-hmm. And then it comes back to heat. That's interesting.
You like it?
I think so. I've had nothing in comparison to that flavor. Okay. These are just regular potatoes.
Yep, just fried potato or baked potatoes, roasted.
Good. And those are the honey ones, I think. Or non-honey ones?
Those are the ones in the Cajun. Is it good on the carrots? It's just such a different seasoning.
It doesn't taste like any of the jerk
We've had before.
sauces that I've done homemade before.
The honey ones.
That's good.
I know. This is dinner tonight. So the rice, the beans, and the tortillas with the taco.
And that's just with the
tomato seasoning.
those are so good.
Tastes just like Mexican. The Mexican place, right?
Mm-hmm.
The black beans. I know. They're good. He might get messy here.
Okay, these are the homemade tortillas too. That's good. That's really good. The tortillas are so good. Tastes a little bit better than the flavored ones you buy. Because I guess where the homemade don't have as much stuff in them, you know. That's really good. That's going to be great everything's going to be great this week.
So you're happy with this meal? And I wanted to say, on our grocery budget, we were actually $5 of that was actually something for the baby in the freezer. That was chicken nuggets, and those will last us about 2 months, 3 months. We don't feed our chicken nuggets very often,
And there's nothing in these.
And there's nothing bad in these. These are just simple. We got them for $5. They were on sale. It's another working pantry item that we put on hand. So for $55, I feel like I did pretty good this week.
Yeah.
This bread is beautiful.
Yes, definitely.
So pretty.
Well, we're going to enjoy the meal this week. If you got any comments, questions, you can leave those down below or send them to thecannycouple@yahoo.com. And make sure to go over and check our link tree with all of our other content. And
thank you for joining us on the Canny Couple, where we work hard, live simple, and enjoy life. Oh, I forgot. I'm tired. Hope you have a great day.